So Brandon Moreno is finally back versus Amir Albazi, UFC Edmonton, 5 round main event. The card honestly is decent. I think it's not the worst card, but it's not the greatest either. I'd probably rate it like a 6 to 7 out of 10. I think it's gonna deliver honestly, but the fight uphill for most of these matchups are not the greatest. So the first matchup we have here is Jack Shore versus Yusuf Zalal. So I'm gonna be honest, I really don't like the way that Jack Shore looks at 145. I think Yusuf Zalal is honestly better than Jack Shore everywhere when it comes to grappling, wrestling, striking, even his cardio. I think Zalal has most of the attributes, if not all, against Jack Shore. So honestly, I just see Zalal striking him to a 30-27. I can't really see Jack Shore trying to work any entries against Zalal. I think that's pretty dangerous because Zalal has good submissions offensively and defensively. So I see him staying at range and try to outstrike Zalal. So I'm going Zalal 30-27. The next fight up on the card is Horth versus Petrovic. So I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely do not care about this fight. So I'm just gonna say I'm picking Petrovic. I'm not gonna waste anyone's time. Petrovic by decision, probably a 30-27, but I could see a 29-28 because it's women's MMA. The next fight up on the card is Anhelager versus Gibson. So this is kind of tricky. I think Anhelager, I'm just gonna call him Chad because I cannot say his last name. But Chad, in my opinion, overall is a better striker than Cody Gibson. But Cody Gibson usually keeps a good pace. He has good long strikes, decent jab, decent straight. His takedown defense is not terrible either, and I don't see Chad taking him down. I think for the most part, this is going to take place on the feet. If someone does level change, it will probably be Gibson just to mix it up and give different looks. I don't think Chad is as bad as people make him out to be. I think the fight's going to be actually kind of close. I see Chad winning the first round, but I see Cody taking over in round 2 and 3 and kind of edging the rounds out. I'm going to go Gibson by 29-28, but I'm kind of, torn on that fight because, like I said, I think Chad is not that bad. I will say if Chad invests in low kicks, he'll win the fight, but I don't think he will, so I'm going Cody Gibson. The next fight up on the card is CD versus Armfield. I'm a big believer in CD. I think CD is very well rounded. He has good attributes for 135. He's long, he's lanky, he can strike, he can grapple, he has good takedown defense. I think he has a really good skill set. He just has to put it all together. The Tavares fight was very tough, and I think the cut kind of attributed to him losing. Not saying that Tavares, not saying Tavares didn't do well, but I think, the blood and the cut kind of played into the fight more. But I still thought he looked good even with that adversity. Very creative striker. He can throw roundhouses with the lead foot, the back foot. He has good strikes. Armfield, to me, Armfield's not a bad fighter either. He's not completely terrible on the feet. He has decent boxing. I think that's his best attribute on the feet, but it's still not better than CD's in my opinion. I can't really see how Armfield wins the fight. I don't think he'll be able to outpace CD, and I don't see him taking him down or outstriking him. So I'm gonna go CD by 30-27. I think it's gonna be a very impressive performance. The next fight up on the card is Romanov versus Nascimento. So honestly, I hate this fight, bro. Like, it's one of those fights you should not bet on. Like, they're just two fat blobs. One has terrible cardio, and the other is a decision machine. I don't think Nascimento has necessarily good cardio, but I mean anyone has better cardio than Romanov. I do see Romanov eventually getting a double leg in the first round on Nascimento, but I can't see a sub. I think if he wins, it has to be a ground and pound TKO. I think Nascimento would survive when it goes down there. And on the feet, I favor Nascimento just because of his jab. I think his jab will save him on the feet. He throws big shots one by ones. I don't think he's gonna have much success on the feet with Nascimento. So it just depends if Romanov is able to get a single leg or a double leg and then control Nascimento for the rest of the round. I believe he could do that in the first round, but when the second round comes, it's so hit or miss if he's going to be able to get another entry on Nascimento. I want to pick Romanov so bad because I could see him, winning the first 2 rounds and then losing the third round. Ah, man, I hate these fights. I want to pick Romanov so bad. I'm going to go Nascimento 29-28. I think he'll be able to survive the first round. The second round, I can see, if he's able to get up back to his feet when they're against the cage, maybe he's able to work his way back up. I can see him outstriking Romanov at range. And then third round, I don't think Romanov will be able to secure a takedown. He'll already be gassed and turn into a fat blob that he is. So I'm gonna go Nascimento 29-28. But don't take my word on that one. The next fight up on the card is Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. So this is gonna be Jourdain's 135 debut. I don't know how I feel about it because he's not like the biggest 145er, but he's also not, a small guy. I think he's like well framed at 145, so the cut is probably going to be a little hard. I think he's a better striker than Henry overall, but the thing that Henry has going for him is he has volume and he has a good pace. So if Jourdain's cut is very rough, I can see the pace starting to pick up on Charles Jourdain. I think also the speed is going to play a factor. I think Henry's going to be quicker than him, and that's going to give Jourdain a little problems. And one thing I don't like about Jourdain is he sometimes he just does pointless things, like he'll throw wheel kicks and flying knees in the open with no setups, and he just puts himself in bad position. So securing a body lock or a double leg, once Jourdain overextends on the strike and puts himself out of position, I can see Jourdain winning rounds based off of damage, but this is another fight I literally don't like. Like, I think Jourdain's a better fighter than Henry, but the unknown of the cut and the activity of Henry, I'm going to go Victor Henry 29-28. Yeah, I'm going Victor Henry 29-28. I'm not confident in that. This card is going to be bad, man. It's either going to be you do good on your picks or you do fucking terrible. But I'm going to ride with Henry. So with these women fights, I've seen them fight. I know how they fight, but they're just so 50-50. It doesn't matter who they are. I genuinely don't care. So I'm just going to make it simple. So Jasudavicius should outpace Lipski. I think it would be a 30-27, but then again, this woman's MMA, so you never know. I think majority of this fight is going to take place in the clinch. She's going to clinch control Lipski, land a few straight shots on the feet that get, the Canadians' crowd attention. Well, it's not even going to be anything big, right? It's probably going to be air punches and they get all hyped over it, but I think Jasmine should win this fight 8 out of 10 times. I think Lipski's best chance to win is a sub. The next fight up on the card is Zahibi versus Munoz. So Zahibi is coming off the win of Basharat. He fraud checked him, honestly. Munoz has been on a little skid, but stylistically, I think this fight is actually, good for Munoz. Munoz, he usually struggles against, tall, lanky fighters, rangy guys like O'Malley, Phillips, guys like that. Even Chito Vera, he did good in the Chito Vera fight. I don't even know why I called him Zahibi. My bad. It's Zahabi. I forgot he's Firas Zahabi's brother. I mess with Firas Zahabi. He's a very educated coach. Cool guy. His brother's actually a pretty good fighter. Over the years, he's kind of been inactive. I think since 2021, he's fought 4 times. I think he fought 2021, 2022, 2023, and then he fought once in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. He has good takedown defense. He has decent power on the feet. But the path for Munoz, in my opinion, is leg kicks, because I think Zahabi is very heavy on his front foot, popping out his jab and circling, taking angles. I think this is a fight where Munoz will get back in his rhythm. He'll be able to work into the fight. Zahibi likes to fight off the back foot at times. He's comfortable with it, and if you push him back, he's okay with that. I think if you give Pedro enough time to settle into a fight, that's when he's at his best. So I see overall the activity winning Pedro the fight. I think he's educated. He keeps a high guard. He even did good against Sean O'Malley. So even though the fight was a no contest, he was doing well. He's a very educated striker, and I think he doesn't have bad IQ. He knows what he's doing in there. He's a veteran. I think overall the tell of the fight will be that Zahabi is too slow and the activity beats him. So I see Pedro Munoz winning a 29-28. I could see a 30-27, but a very competitive 30-27, if that makes sense, where Munoz just edges the rounds based off that activity, like I mentioned. So I'm confident in Pedro there. I'm going with Pedro. The next fight up on the card is Mallet versus Giles. So Mallet just got fraud checked by Neil Magny. That dude never goes away. It seems like, he loses, then he fucking wins a fight that he's not supposed to win. Like, Neil Magny beat Jeff Neal. Like, let that sink in. That's fucking crazy. But aside from that, Giles actually has good takedown defense, so I don't really see Mallet securing takedowns here. On Tapology, I've been seeing that people are pretty confident that Mallet will finish this fight. Giles does have a sus chin. It's not, nuclear or nothing, but he has decent power. I think the good thing going for him is the southpaw stance. It's going to be an open stance fight. Giles overall, in my opinion, is the better striker, and he has good power as well. I think his jab and his straights early are going to win him the first round. but I see Mallet coming onto the fight. Even though I don't think he'll take down Giles, I still see him level changing, having a single leg and pushing Giles up against the cage. I think he's going to do a lot of clinch work, knees, elbows, just be active in the clinch, slow the fight down. And I think in the third round, it's going to be the same thing, some work in the clinch. I see, Giles disengaging from the clinch at times. And Mallet lands, high kicks on the guard and some decent lefts that whiff or land on the guard as well. But the Canadian crowd, they're going to go crazy. I think he'll win the round kind of that way, just the momentum. So my prediction for that fight, I have Mallet by 29-28, but I see the judges giving him 230-27 scorecards and then 129-20. The next fight up on the card is Marc-Andre Barriault versus Stolfus. So honestly, this is just a give me fight. They want, Barriault to deliver on the Canadian card. I don't see any way that Stolfus wins this fight. I think Barriault is more powerful. I think he has better cardio. I think he's a better striker. I think he's a better wrestler and even grappler. I just don't see how Stolfus wins this fight. I'm not gonna waste anyone's time here. Stolfus could be a little tough and stubborn at times, but I just see the activity, the volume, and overall power of Marc-Andre Barriault being too much. I actually got Marc-Andre Barriault by third round TKO. I could see a late second round, but I think Stolfus will do enough to survive the second round damage. So I see more of a cumulative finish. Marc-Andre Barriault under the distance. So the next fight up on the card is Kyle Machado versus Ribeiro. So this is Machado's 205 debut. He usually fights at heavyweight. He recently lost to Mick Parkin and Dontel Mays. That's not a good look, but so when it comes to his takedown defense, I think it's not the best. But he has the ability to get up. In my opinion, his style is really a brawler. He's a southpaw, but he overextends on a lot of his punches. I think he's very open down the middle. Ribeiro is very explosive. One thing bad on his part is that he's very open as well, and he's very chinny. So although I think that, Ribeiro has the speed advantage by a big margin, if Kyle does connect with his left hand, I think he will put Ribeiro out. But I think the speed and the power of Ribeiro will be too much. I don't see this fight going the distance. I think Ribeiro could honestly find the mark in the first round, but logically, I would pick the second round. I think the straight right is going to be the punch that finishes Machado. That's the southpaw killer, and he's very open down the middle. We've seen it in the Parker fight, and we also seen it in the Dontel Mays fight. So I'm taking Ribeiro by second round TKO. The next fight up on the card is legendary Derek Lewis versus Denise. So I've been seeing, a lot of Lewis love here. Derek Lewis, he's the king of losing and then bouncing back, losing and then bouncing back. But overall, I don't see him mixing in takedowns. He's not going to do that. Denise is a very good striker. He was actually a former kickboxer. He's also a southpaw like a few other fighters on the card. He has very good kicks from his left side. Straight left is money. And I think my favorite aspect of his game is his ability to fight on the front foot. I think he's very good at, cutting the cage off and tracking down his opponents. Lewis is very open, and I think the speed factor is very, very significant. He likes to load up with his hooks. He falls into his opponents at times, overextending. I think he could walk into some big lefts from Denise. But really, I think the thing that's going to win Denise the fight is the body work. I see him investing to Derek Lewis's body, slamming body kicks, throwing straight lefts to the body. And I see Lewis overall overextending on the front foot eventually and getting countered badly, getting put away. I have Denise by first round TKO. I just never have liked, the way that Derek Lewis takes shots. He's able to deliver, big shots, but when it's coming back to him, he always folds under the pressure. If you watch that Tai Tuivasa KO, it's funny because, people never really notice it, but he got elbowed in the clinch and he literally fell to the ground acting like he was knocked out. Like he was obviously hurt. And the reason I know that is because when he fell straight to the ground, bro broke his fall with his elbow. Like you're not out cold, bro. Like you got folded, you got fucking melted. Like I don't know. I've just always felt like Derek Lewis is a quitter, and I mean no disrespect, but I just gotta call it how it is. Coming up to the last two fights of the card. First being Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield. This is actually going to be a very entertaining fight. I see a lot of fun scrambles. Rose's base is grappling jiu-jitsu, so she's always had, a good ground game. At flyweight, she's still shown that she has some decent strength. Like we really haven't seen her, out strength at flyweight, so I'm confident that, she'll be good in the strength department. And Erin Blanchfield is not the biggest flyweight either. Honestly, she's kind of undersized. I see this fight playing out a lot like the Manon-Fiorot fight. Even though Rose has been kind of negative recently, like honestly, I think she could have stopped Cortez. And it's like a lot of her performances, she kind of cruises to a decision. So I don't like that, but I'm confident that she'll be able to deny Erin Blanchfield's entries and outstrike her at range. On the feet, I don't think Blanchfield has any success. I think she's gonna get picked apart, jabbed, straights, leg kicks, whatever Rose wants to throw. I think she'll be able to land on her. She's not very educated on the feet. She's very hittable in my opinion. And Rose has always shown good cardio, so I think Rose wins this 49-46 decision. So the last fight on the card, Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. So stylistically, I think this kind of favors Moreno. But we've seen Moreno get taken down with, double legs, single legs, body lock. He's been taken down. He got taken down 6 times against Pantoja. I believe Figgy has taken him down before. Royval took him down one time. So he's able to get taken down, but his ability to scramble up back to his feet is very good. On the feet, Moreno has the advantage 100%. Albazi has decent power, but he's very basic on the feet. Jab, overhand, leg kick. He's very simplistic, but he has good cardio. In the Kai Kara France fight, I watched it back. I don't think he won that fight. To be fair, I think Kai Kara France has better takedown defense than Brandon Moreno, but I think, Brandon Moreno is the better grappler 100%. So I could see Amir Albazi securing takedowns off the fence, specifically double legs when he's able to lock his hands together. But I'm hesitant because I don't know if he'll be able to control Brandon Moreno, especially the whole round. He's not going to control the Brandon Moreno the whole round, right? So when they break into the open, I think Moreno is going to win the striking exchanges with his volume and his activity. As of recently, Moreno has been looking kind of weird, especially in the Royval fight. He looked very off, and he took some time off as well. Albazi has been out for a decent amount of time as well. It's kind of crazy because Moreno's a younger fighter. Moreno is a year younger than Albazi. I really want to pick Albazi because I think just the mix-up. I've seen videos over the time that, Moreno's been out, and I've seen him at boxing gyms like Capitillo, the boxing trainer. I really like Amir Albazi. I think he's a good fighter. I just think I have to go Brandon Moreno here. The fight stylistically just favors him, and I think the activity will overall win him the fight. I could see Albazi, stealing a round or two. But if this fight plays out how I think it is, and we use, the modern day MMA scoring criteria, or at least the UFC scoring criteria, damage usually wins the fights. And then you go to, the other aspects. But I think, the damage will trump the short control time that Albazi has. Because I do see him actually having success in the clinch in the first 3 rounds of clinch control. But I see Moreno eventually disengaging and just outstriking him. And Moreno should edge it. Maybe the timeout is good for him. Because, a lot of his fights are grueling and he takes damage. Albazi's not a guy that's going to knock you out with one shot. And Moreno has a grappling defense to stay safe in the fight. So I'm going to go Brandon Moreno decision, 48-47. I think one judge will give it to Albazi, 48-47. But it's going to be pretty clear that Moreno won the fight. You know how it usually goes with the judges nowadays. They're always getting shit wrong.
Which stripe of tiger are you going with tonight, LSU or Clemson?
I have a lot of love for the tiger, and I wish both teams well, and I can't wait to see the match take place.
Thank you.
I don't know the difference between the teams. I was like, I wish them well.